Tonight's episode of NXT was all about the story between Oba Femi and Trick Williams, and it all started with the Grayson Waller effect, with Oba Femi as the special guest. And like it usually goes, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory just insult Oba Femi, but he gets his usual jabs in. It was a very great segment with both Oba Femi and Austin Theory both talking about their early successes in their career and how they're both destined for stardom. Oba Femi a bit more than Austin Theory. But eventually the tensions get a bit too high, and Oba Femi challenges one of them, or both, to a championship match at the next pay-per-view, Vengeance Day. But Trick Williams comes out, and he gets face-to-face with Oba Femi and just gets laid absolutely out. It's a nice turn of events because usually these stuff end with Grayson Waller and Austin Theory brawling it out with whoever was they're having on their show. But this time it was two completely different people, and Austin Theory and Grayson Waller just kind of finagled their way into a title match, which was really interesting to see. And despite Trick Williams getting laid out, he has a matchup next against Wes Lee, two guys who have a tiny bit of history, but not that much. And Wes Lee pretty much dominates Trick Williams. This was a very good way to get Wes Lee some great offense in a high tier wrestler, someone a lot higher than them on the card, and Wes Lee got the victory, although it was by disqualifications because Trick Williams did not abide the referee's count. The story being told here is very obvious, and that is that Trick Williams is getting very frustrated that Austin Theory and Grayson Waller are already being placed above him on the tier, and he wants his rematch. And later tonight, he will get that, but for now, Wes Lee picks up a major victory. And I would like to see Wes Lee go ahead and face Tony D'Angelo for the NXT North American Championship. What stopped Wes Lee from getting that belt back was Oba Femi. He could never get over Oba Femi, his biggest obstacle. And now Oba Femi's out of the picture, and that would make a pretty interesting story not only for Wes Lee, but also for Tony D'Angelo, who can finally have a real nemesis for that championship because Rich Holland and Shawn Spears aren't it. And maybe eventually even afterwards, Wes Lee can go ahead and face Oba Femi down the line once he has a lot of built up momentum. But back to the main story being told, Oba Femi is backstage getting scolded by Ava that even though he's champ, he can't make the decisions, and she puts him in a triple threat match at Vengeance Day against Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. And oh boy, does that piss off Trick Williams. Ava is very much tired of Trick's crap, so she scolds him out and tells him that if he wants that match, he needs to team up with Oba Femi next week against Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, and whoever walks out as champion at Vengeance Day will get to face Trick Williams at Stand and Deliver. Now if you want my opinion on all of this, I absolutely love this. Trick Williams and Oba Femi versus Grayson Waller and Austin Theory is a super major matchup, and I think that's going to draw a lot of eyes, and it's also just going to be very interesting seeing all those dynamics. And for the next two pay-per-views, which the main events are already confirmed, we're going to get Oba Femi versus Austin Theory versus Grayson Waller, which should be an incredible match, and Trick Williams will also be on the card on Vengeance Day somewhere. Maybe he can be a special guest referee again, because he's been special guest referee last year 3 or 4 times, I believe. So that's maybe something how you can involve him or give him his own match. And then Oba Femi's not going to lose, so at Stand and Deliver, we are going to get Oba Femi versus Trick Williams for the NXT World Championship. And my concern was how are they going to stretch it out? I love Grayson Waller and Austin Theory being injected into this feud. I think they're the right people to be injected into this feud, and it gives both Austin Theory and Grayson Waller a much needed push to show the people and remind them that hey, these guys have really big potential. Now if you compare this to the women's championship scene, I'm still a bit conflicted about that, because for the women's world title scene we had Bayley and Giulia defeating Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade. Another really solid match that I enjoyed. But the issue of that is, it feels like Giulia's championship reign is already directionless. Because even though she's involved in the story, she's not the focus at all, and she isn't the one driving the story. We have Bayley and Roxanne Perez, who are the main rivalry for this feud. They are the main people, they have this big program going on, and they'll probably have a one-on-one match somewhere down the line, and that's the money match coming out of all of this. Meanwhile, Cora Jade has her own things happening on TNA and with Masha Slamovich and the Knockouts Championship. Meanwhile, Giulia is just there. There's no obvious challenger, no obvious direction where she's going in, and that's what's bothering me, and that was my biggest fear for her reign at the beginning. But I do understand why they're doing this, because the Bayley and Roxanne feud and what's happening with Cora Jade are the most talked about things in the NXT Women's Division right now. So just throwing Giulia in there automatically means there's a lot of eyes on her, but I just feel like we're not going anywhere with her, or at least not anything we can see. And if it just leads to Giulia versus Roxanne Perez at Stand and Deliver, I'm going to be disappointed. But the rest of the women's division held up very strongly. Kalani Jordan and Carmen Petrovic had this very interesting backstage segment that I really enjoyed, where Carmen was like, "Thank you for helping me, Kalani, but I wanted to be Jada on my own." And then Kalani gets super pissed and just throws insults at Carmen and even says, "Ashante's gonna leave you." And Carmen just scolds her out. That was very interesting, and I'm really enjoying this direction we're going with Kalani and her slow heel turn. Like I said, I think she's gonna benefit from a heel turn a lot because it's a trend in wrestling. People usually are better as heels than they are as faces, because being a face and getting over with the crowd is very difficult. And usually after your heel, when you transition back to a baby face, you usually do a lot better of a job at that. So I think this is going to benefit Kalani a lot. And I'm interested in seeing what we're doing with Carmen now that the whole Ashante thing is sort of behind us. Fallon Henley also defeated Shotzi Blackheart in another really good match. And then afterwards, Stephanie Vaquer came out and she's going to be facing Fallon Henley at Vengeance Day. And this was the result everyone was expecting. Nothing unexpected, everything very predictable, but it's good. Fallon versus Stephanie is going to be an amazing match, and Shotzi can now return in the Royal Rumble and then go on up to the main roster, do her thing there. I think her return to NXT was just to get her back into shape, back into wrestling shape, so that she can be good on the main roster again. I think she's done with this for now. And for Stephanie Vaquer versus Fallon, I don't know if Stephanie's going to win the belt yet. I think she probably should, because I don't think you should have her lose against Fallon and then run the match back at Stand and Deliver. So Stephanie should probably win, but there's still a few weeks to see what you do with that. And then in the main event, Bianca Belair and Naomi defeat Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson to retain the NXT Women's Championship. Another really solid match. It's not a feud I actually cared about. I like all the women involved in the match. It's just, I'm not invested in any of their stories at the moment. So despite the good match, I couldn't really care about it. But for what it was pretty solid. So if I had to give tonight's show a rating, it would be a solid 9 out of 10. My biggest gripes with the show is wanting more for some of the championships, specifically the NXT North American Championship and the NXT Women's Championship. I want a lot more for these belts because the NXT North American Championship has such a rich history of champions, and I don't feel like Tony D'Angelo has lived up to that. And it's not his fault, but it's just the truth. And for the NXT Women's Championship, Giulia not having a clear direction while everyone else around her has a clear direction just kind of makes me upset. But that's kind of all the problems I have with the show. The rest of it was really great and I loved it. So yeah, definitely check out tonight's NXT, the best episode of NXT this year so far, by a mile. Anyways, I've been Coach and thank you for watching my video. Please leave a like and subscribe. It helps the channel a lot. We've been growing a lot recently. Let's get to 400 subscribers. I'm sending love to all around the world and I hope to see you again soon. Goodbye.